Item 27 is Resolution 23-535, declaring April 2023 as Fair Housing Month in St. Paul.
It's my pleasure today to call attention to April being Fair Housing Month. Today we will be passing a resolution. I want to make a special thank you to the St. Paul Board of Realtors who brought this to our attention and asked us as our partners in doing housing in the city if we would consider this resolution. So it really is a partnership of our private realtors and our city. On an ongoing basis, the St. Paul City Council affirms its commitment to the fact that housing is the foundation of stability and prosperity for families, and that we need to work every day to ensure that all members of our community have access to safe, affordable, and stable housing. To share more about this important topic, and also St. Paul Realtor Paige Kale, who is here today on behalf of the St. Paul Area Association of Realtors to speak to the resolution.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here. My name is Paige Kale, and I am here on behalf of the St. Paul Area Association of Realtors. I'm a longtime resident of St. Paul and have been a realtor for almost 20 years, and am also a very active advocate for housing justice and housing affordability. Nationally, as you know, April is Fair Housing Month, and I am here today to thank you all for adopting this Fair Housing Proclamation and to talk briefly about the importance of the Fair Housing Act. The Fair Housing Act was passed in 1968 and prohibits discrimination regarding the sale, rental, and financing of housing based on race, religion, sex, and national origin. In 1988, it was amended to include the protected classes of disability and family status. As a follow-up to the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Fair Housing Act was the final great legislative achievement of the Civil Rights era. Before this legislation was passed in Minnesota and throughout the country, the real estate industry, in concert with developers, cities, and even school districts, actively prevented all kinds of people from access to quality housing and wealth building through home ownership. The Fair Housing Act was the first step to remedying this injustice. 55 years later, in 2023, we still have many steps left to take until the housing industry is free from discrimination. The National Fair Housing Alliance recently released its 2022 report, which found that just over 31,000 fair housing complaints were filed in 2021, up from about 29,000 filed in 2020. This despite fewer agencies reporting data during this time. This is the highest number of housing complaints filed in the last 25 years, and nearly 82% of the complaints originated during rental transactions. This means that while the Fair Housing Act has made an impact on how people are treated with regard to housing, we still have a long way to go as a nation to live up to this fair housing pledge. One of the most rewarding professional experiences that I've had in the past decade was helping a first-generation buyer purchase their first home. Tony asked all the right questions, wanting to learn all that he could about home ownership, from maintenance questions to questions about the financial benefits. And throughout the whole process, there was this underlying skepticism that he would find a home within his price range for his family and be able to purchase it. He was just very skeptical of the process. I reassured him throughout that we would get there, and we did. As we were walking into the home for the final walkthrough, he told me that he was going to be the first person in his family to own a home. At that point, I understood his skepticism. He went on to share with me that his family immigrated here from Cambodia and that they are so incredibly proud of him. And I was equally as proud to be a part of his journey towards achieving the American dream. I want to live in a country, in a state, and in a city that has opportunities for every family and every person who dreams of home ownership. And right now, as I stand here, we are in a housing crisis, or a housing tragedy as I see it. In order to fully realize the Fair Housing Act's true intentions, we must create more housing of all types and in all areas. Stable housing is a human need, and it matters like water and like food. In short, home is where everything begins. The Fair Housing Act is a vital piece of legislation from the Civil Rights era, and it continues to protect many Americans from discrimination in housing, and we must continue its enforcement. As a realtor and member of the St. Paul Area Association of Realtors, I am committed to the goals outlined in the Fair Housing Act, and I'm so happy to see the City of St. Paul is committed to these goals as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.